Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Coffee with Mitch from live from sunny Melbourne, Florida. How are you? Good to see you all today. Let's get on with it as usual, my friends. Drink it if you got it. Good to see everybody here this morning. I appear to be live over there on YouTube. All is right with the world. How's everybody on this hump day, Wednesday morning, July 25th? Wow. I can't believe July is almost over. I mean, June. Where am I? Don't know where I am. June 25th. I'm thinking about July is coming, and July came out of my mouth. No, I'm not senile. I've just got a million things going on in front of me, and I'm trying to talk at the same time. You try it. Turamir says it's not morning, man. It's afternoon. It's all relative, Tuka. True. In Finland, where you are, it is afternoon. So it's good to see you. Good to see everybody. And I think what I'll do today, I've got a lot to talk about today. And yet I still want to get into the chat and answer questions. If you got questions, you know the drill. Q. And I'll try to notice it. So let me start this morning, to get up to the top of this, and just say hi to the early birds who checked in last night, or too many of them. Won't take very long. Number one was Rick. See you at Charge of Mopar. See you in the morning. And Gary. Oh, the music's still playing. All right. I am so smooth on these sound effects. You ready? Here goes. Okay. Gary says, quack, second. All right, Mandy Meadows says, hi, Mitch. Last night at, what time was that? 6:34. Smoothie 420. Hi, Mitch. Looking forward to the AM. And the Mitch fits, too. Peter checked in last night. I'm about to go off to bed. So the Mitch fits tomorrow morning, bright and shiny. Good deal. The furrow grandma was here. Wild mustache hair or something this morning. No slow when you're second, you should quack twice. Well, I just did it for him. Sandy Blythe, hi Sandy, headed to bed 10:22, and Lady June from England, it's already today over there. Last night, Gem, Mitch liked your video. It's 10 p.m. Everybody's gone to bed. I was right there with you. I got to bed early last night. Mike Silly, first in the morning at 5:34 at United Carnivore from Tampa Bay, and Wayne Herman checked in this morning, and Rick again this morning. Mike Sealy's father here in Melbourne checked in. Mike Sealy Sr. Francine Bourgeois checked in this morning at 8, followed by Sandy Blythe and Rick and Peter and everybody coming in. Smoothie and Carnivore Keith, how you doing? Bacon Baby, good morning to you. Graceful Lily, how are you? Lori, hi Lori, how you doing? Wow, that's too much information, Lori. John Schaefer It's funny how people that are older than me wear it as a badge of honor. John Schaefer says, older than Mitch, here for a rare live morning coffee. Good to see you. Good to see you. And let's see, who haven't I said hi to before the bell? Claudia's here, said good morning. Meetups, how are you? Good morning, Carnivore, she said. And CB is here. Hi, CB, how you doing? Good morning. Geared up to listen and glance on this long drive today. Oh, you're off chauffeuring prisoners again. What a job. What a job. Kathy, Florida said good morning. And here's the other 829 sneaking up on the bell. Lizzie's here. Hi, Lizzie. How you doing? Gary and Keith and wow. Make sure. Oh, I made a mistake. I'm going to have to go back a little bit, but once again, the winner and still reigning champion, Gary No Slow, right here at the bell, followed by Keith, Smoothie, Aaron, good morning, Aaron, Booby Goats, and Lady June back from the United Kingdom, Graceful Lily, back 8:30, Rick. Ebony Talks, hi, Ebony, how are you? Good to see you. Good morning, Mr. Mitch. I suppose I should say good morning, Miss Ebony. Tuka chimed in at 8:30, Bacon Baby at 8:30, Sandy Blythe back at 8:30, Rick again at 8:30. Carnivore Keith again at 8:30. And Tuka wants to know how am I, boss? Tuka, if I was any better, it would be illegal. You know that. Any more 8:30s? No, that was the last of the 8:30s. And Tanya checked in at 8:31. I have replaced heavy cream in my coffee with livestream. How does it taste, sweetie? How are you? And we have Josephine C., Ketone Seeker. I'm trying to get this out of the way real quick. Roxanne, friend chimed in with us. New. Who else is new? I see the same names. We'll probably. Peter has a question. Did you know that Dr. Quilts held up your book at today's show and encouraged his audience to buy it and watch your channel? Yeah, I saw that, Peter. I did see that. What was really funny, and I'm sure a lot of you were there, what was really funny was he held the book up, and he sent me a text last night. I didn't even tell him about it. He found out about my book from somewhere. For those of you in the private community, and if you misunderstood Kills, I don't try very hard to sell my book at all. I don't make any money on that book at all. Amazon makes most of the money. And I don't know if I've ever seen any of it. Tell you the truth. After 23 years of having that book for sale on Amazon. Not that the book was a failure. It's just something is confusing, and the amount of money concerned has never been enough for me to spend the time and effort necessary to straighten it out. Just like documentaries, people don't watch. People don't buy books if they're not publicized. And if somebody doesn't spend a small fortune publicizing their book, nobody knows about it. I didn't write that book really to make money. I wrote that book as a little exercise of my thoughts, exercise of my theories. I don't think everybody can follow that book. That book is about, more than anything, thinking and reality. But I did offer for free to everybody that is a member of my private community. Here's a picture of Kiltz that he texted me yesterday, holding my book up, and he ordered it. He said he was going to order it, and he ordered it from Amazon, and he got it. He was sitting down to eat dinner last night, and he held it up. So what he did on his stream this morning was he covered up my name on the bottom. It says M.H. Weiss. You can't see it, but if you could see the book in person, you'd notice that there was a picture of a gorilla on the cover, and has a twinkle in one of his eyes, representing the beast within us. And he said he held up the book, and nobody knew what it was. And he says, "Do you know who wrote this book?" And still, nobody had any idea. Well, I'm feeling less and less like a star. And since I haven't been actually using my last name in public until a week ago, for reasons which you should understand by now, if not, I don't want to get into it, he uncovered my name, M.H. Weiss. And still, nobody knew who the hell wrote the book. And then he said, Mitch Weiss. And people finally began to get it. Then he turned it over. And on the back of the book is a picture of me with my parrot at the time, named Lolita, snuggled up against my face. And people recognized me. So he said, buy the book on Amazon. We're going to get together and critique it. And I go, oh, no. Don't critique my book. I'm not a writer. I'm a comedian. It is what it is. And because I don't try very hard to sell it, and don't ever anticipate there being any mass demand for a book like this, because you gotta be a thinker to keep up with this book. I give it away. I give it away to all the private community members, and some of them don't even know that it's there. I tell everybody it's in the show, first thing in the show notes of all my private community live streams. And I don't know who downloads it. I get very few comments on it, but you don't have to buy it. If you're in my private community, you can get a free copy, PDF of it. Read it on your tablet or cell phone or something like that. And I would love to have some discussions. I'd love to have like a book club kind of thing where we read it together. But I have found that people just are not interested. And I'm not trying to jam anything down anybody's throats or sell anybody a bill of goods. But I'm very proud of that book. And I think that some of the concepts and theories that I espoused about the realities of life, why we're the way we are, why we behave like we do, how to control these things, has led to me being successful at Carnivore, have led to me being modestly successful on YouTube, and I'm very, very proud of it. So I appreciate Kiltz. He also, that's another one of the things I want to talk about this morning. I wanted to thank Kiltzy for that shout out. I wanted to say that we have a meetup, and he talked about that. I have not gotten any response to that of any magnitude. Kiltz is going to be here, and so is Nelson in Melbourne, Central Florida, Wednesday, 11:30 at the Brazilian Steakhouse at the Melbourne Square Mall. No cost other than the lunch. It's a casual thing. RSVP to me. I haven't talked to Mike Seeley, who's kind of administering it, the liaison between the restaurant and us, to see who he's got coming. I know he and his father are coming. I know Peter's coming up from And don't let that scare you away. I know I know Peter's coming up from Boca Raton. I know Jerry Voitos is still waiting to see if he can get away. And other than that, I have not gotten an RSVP. So worst comes to worst, even if you're unannounced, come. If you need directions or you need more information, email me, Mitch oldguycarnivore@gmail.com. And we'd love to see you there. And if it's just a small group of us, they're great friends, and we'll have a nice lunch and a meeting with friends. The more the merrier, though. And I'd like to meet more of you. So if you can make it, let me know. Going down the list here. Am I really that scary and intimidating? Is there a reason why I can't get people lining up to come on and be my kind of co-host on Sunday morning so that you can meet the community in person? I don't have a guest yet for this Sunday. Somebody raise your hand and say, yes, we would be honored, Mitch, if we could appear with you on your Sunday morning live stream. Today marks kind of a milestone. This is the 4th morning in a row that I'm doing this. I'm going to do it tomorrow morning and Friday morning too. So we will get up to 6 consecutive mornings. And that's about it. I'm going to reserve the right to at least take a day off, and I'm going to take it on Saturday, so you know what can happen without my interference. Anyway, that's that. Be my guest here. I have another video in the kitchen coming out this afternoon. I'm not going to spoil it. Look for it. About 2:45 it's coming out. Today I have a big adventure planned for myself. I'm not going to film it because why would I? It may not seem like much to you guys, but I am going to get in my car after this live stream, drive it to Orlando for about an hour drive, get my teeth cleaned, and drive it home. Now, it doesn't sound like much, but if you think of it from my perspective, I'm pretty much housebound these days. I don't go out hardly at all. Get all my shopping delivered to me. The last time I drove was a week ago to have lunch with my son. Thursday, we're going to have lunch again. But other than that, I don't leave the house. I've been pretty much of a shut-in, recovering from my stroke. So today's little adventure, you talk about stretching out. It's going to be epic, and I feel great for it. And I'm sure it'll just be like it always was, just a drive, get my teeth cleaned, turn around and come back. Not something I want to make a big event about. But the fact that I'm going to be traveling that far for the first time, I think is monumental. And the final thing I want to talk about today and clear up is I drink a little more coffee. Oh, that's good. Decaf too. I've had caffeine for a couple of weeks now. It was affecting me. It really was. I'm feeling more energy longer in the day without the caffeine than I was when I was drinking the caffeine. And once the effects of the caffeine wore off and my body started to make its own, let's say caffeine, but it's not, it's neurotransmitters. I have more energy now than I had when I was getting the boost from the caffeine. Just you have to put up with the withdrawal. That's about it. So that's going well too. have not added carbs into my diet. And speaking of carbs and other nutrients, I want to clear up something, and I should have gone into this in my burger video yesterday, where I compared the sirloin burger and the Angus burger. What I showed you on that, if you've seen it, is true. I like the sirloin burger better. I thought it had a deeper flavor and it was juicier. And you didn't fail to point out to me in the comments that shouldn't be, because the Angus burger was 85-15. I mean 80-20, and the sirloin burger was leaner. 85-15 at lower calories, less fat. But when you consider that as you cook a hamburger in an air fryer, so much of the fat renders out of it anyway. And when you're done, I think the amount of fat left is probably pretty close to each other. You may have more render out of the sirloin burger, but when you pour, if you don't pour it back on top of the burger, it's lost anyway, or save it as tallow. I don't think the difference is that much. It was juicier. I had people say to me, was a difference in color? Maybe the Angus burgers were older, so they had a little freezer burn. Well, that stuff doesn't sit around at Sam's Club. It goes out as fast as it comes in. It had been in my freezer for only a few days. So no, I don't think that was the case, but I'll watch out for that. But the biggie, the real biggie, and if you bear with me a second, I think this might be an important and let me get into this here. I should have had this ready, but I didn't. I would have if this were professional show business, but it's not. Let's see, where is it? Nope, wrong one. Oh, Mitch, you're such a klutz. Let's see. There it is. Best frozen burger video. Images. This one here. Make it big. And show you guys. There we go. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's look at these nutritional labels. For some reason, the sirloin burger doesn't show added salt, and if you look at the sodium, there's 260 milligrams of sodium in the Angus burger and only 85 milligrams in the sirloin burger. I wonder why. I put a little Redmond salt on both of them, but I put an equal amount. So you would think that the finished Angus burger would have been way saltier because it has so much salt in it, enough salt to be listed on the ingredients label. It wasn't any saltier. So the sirloin burger is a conundrum, a paradox. For a burger that had less salt and less fat, you couldn't taste the fact that it had less salt, and it was juicier. So, Twilight Zone, you tell me. I'm sure there's an explanation, but it was markedly better. So I'm going to reserve the right to come back again later on and say, never mind. The next 2 bags I bought was just the opposite. The Angus was better. I don't know what the consistency is in these things. I've heard a lot of people tell me that the sirloin costs more. Not at my Sam's Club it doesn't, but that doesn't mean it doesn't at your Sam's Club. But how much more could it cost? Mine, the price was the same. Everything was the same. The amounts were a little different. There were no seed oils in it. Period. There's no seed oils in this thing. Well, that ain't true, Mitch. How would you explain this? Wait a minute, let me get to it. How do you explain trans fat? It says it's got trans fat. People were telling me, I'm not buying that. They've hidden seed oils in it. How else do you get trans fat in a hamburger? There's more trans fat in the Angus, 2 grams. Wow, wowie. Well, when you consider how much trans fat the average American eats in a day with the junk food they're eating, and you worry about 2 grams of trans fat, you're anal retentive, my friend. I believe you just are worried too much about things that don't make much difference. But if you're really that worried about 1/10 of a gram of trans fat, you can have 5/10 of a gram less by eating these sirloin burgers. But I kept getting these. I got them on my first video about the Angus burgers. Oh, they're putting seed oils in them. Well, if they are, they're breaking the law, because if they put a seed oil in there, they have to put it on the ingredients label, and the ingredients say nothing but beef and salt, or just beef. The only deception that they're hiding from you is just marketing. First of all, it was pointed out to me in a recent comment, that you compare Angus with sirloin. How can you do that? Angus is a breed of cattle, and sirloin is a cut of beef. You could even have Angus sirloin. It's apples and oranges. It's marketing, but that's true of all the food that we eat. It's all marketing. It's like my 100% vegetarian-fed, pasture-raised eggs. They finally got the message that that's impossible, so take it off the label, and they did, which gave me more confidence in Sam's Club's pasture-raised eggs that they're legitimate, because if there is a contradiction like that, it just instills distrust of the legitimacy. Whereas when they took it off and said, well, I guess we have to forego the fact that 99% of people want to eat things they think are healthy, and they think that feeding a carnivorous animal vegetables is going to make it healthier for them. If that's what they think, we'll give it to them. Well, they finally took it off there. I know they didn't get cold on it because I started screaming about it, but evidently I wasn't the only one. And why can't you have 100% vegetarian-fed pasture-raised chicken? Because you put a chicken in a pasture, and that chicken's going to find a worm. And now he's not 100% vegetarian-fed anymore. Duh. How long do they keep doing that? Years? So let me get this. Let me put this trans fat thing to bed. Okay? Let me put this trans fat thing to bed. Give me a second, and let me set this up here. And I will put this trans fat thing to bed. And it's something that I didn't bother answering those comments with big, long explanations from the people who said, they put seed oils in those, so they're no good. I only get pure beef. I only go out into a pristine pasture myself, and I pick out the cow that I think's the prettiest, and I shoot them, and then I butcher them on the spot, and I eat them out there raw. Because if you're not doing that, then you're not being healthy, and you're calling yourself a carnivore, but you're a hypocrite. You know, God, I wish those people would just go away. This purism, cultism that some people attribute to carnivore, and we're worried about a microgram of this and a half of a microgram of that's going to kill them. Those are the same people that can't go 5 minutes without using an antiseptic on their hands or washing down their entire house with Lysol and wearing hazmat suits and hover over their children and produce children who get every disease known to man because they never get an immune system. You people have to lighten up. None of you people are watching me today. I just rant. I like that. It feels good. But anyway, the trans fats. Do any people know what trans fats are? There's all kinds of trans fats. There's also polyunsaturated fats. There's monounsaturated fats. There's saturated fats. And if I go here to Mr. Google and I say Google and I type there trans fats in beef, hit enter. The answer says yes, beef does contain naturally occurring trans fats. These trans fats are different from the industry-produced trans fats found in processed foods. While the health effects of naturally occurring trans fat in beef are still being studied, they're going to be studied from now to the end of time. They'll never discover meaningful ways. How can you do a meaningful, long-term, high-cohort, randomized, double-blind controlled study to discover if there's any difference in the health outcomes of feeding a human being beef with trans fats or seed oils with trans fats, everything else being equal, and that's the only difference, and do that for 30 years. How would you engineer a study like that? You couldn't, and get a meaningful result. You'd have to have a lot of people locked up for 30 years. You have to be feeding them identical meals. They'd have to live identical lives. Then you'd have to just feed change one thing in half of them. Make them get their trans fats from beef. On the other ones, make them get their trans fats from something else that's processed. Now, even after you got the results after 30 years, even after you got those results, somebody could claim there are confounders. How do we know that it's not the meat itself that is responsible for the difference in these two outcomes? How do we know to just blame it on the fat? It may be something else in the beef. That's the reason you can never scientifically prove these epidemiological results. It is impossible, and it's something that so many of the carnivore doctors rave about all the time, is the inadequate studies, frauds, how bad the data is, how bad the experiment has been set up. So you can't know that. Even artificial intelligence here doesn't know it. They're generally considered to be less harmful than their artificially produced counterparts, according to the American Heart Association. Well, when I see that, I have to look at that, because if they'll admit it, that the trans fats in beef are less harmful than the trans fats in processed junk, if the AMA admits it, you have pretty good confidence that it's true, because the AMA is one of the biggest propagandists in the vegan and vegetable, healthy fruits and vegetable and grains diet movement. All this stuff, you got to think on your feet. You got to say, what does this make any sense? Not only does beef contain trans fat, but I'm going to type in, I'm going to change trans fat to poly unsaturated. Typing one hand here. Does beef contain polyunsaturated fat? Yes. Beef contains polyunsaturated fat, PUFAs. which we're supposed to stay away from them, but in relatively smaller amounts compared to saturated fat and monounsaturated fats. Well, thank God for that. That's why we eat beef. That's why we eat meat, because meat contains more saturated and monounsaturated fats than it does PUFAs and trans fats, which we're not supposed to eat. So, the moral of that story, my friends, beef is good. The other shit is not. So, for all those people who keep sending me these comments, telling me you're wrong because they're using. Do a little research. And if you can get an answer in our favor, an answer that basically gives us credit for being right, and you get that kind of answer from the biggest propaganda machine on the planet Earth, Mr. Google, then you can pretty well be sure it was given to you begrudgingly, and you can probably count on it. So I wanted to clear that up. Most people who saw that video, thousands of them, will not see this. It's like a retraction at the end of page 7 in fine print of a headline from yesterday that a newspaper would do. I just wanted to go over that. I didn't want to make a whole video about that, but it is important. And we have to be critical. We have to be critical thinkers, I think. But that's just me. I hope that wasn't a waste of time, because I spent a lot of time on it. But one of the most important things that we have to do as carnivores, and I want to make these morning live streams more than just about saying hi to everybody. I want to try to make them somewhat informative and get a discussion going about important things. Food labeling and food labeling fraud and deception is something that everybody who's trying to eat healthy needs to be aware of, or else we'll all just get sucked in, and no matter how good we think we're doing, we'll be not doing any good. There's a great example of that happening to 99% plus of the American public. They see a label that says no meat, all fruits and vegetables, organic. They assume it's healthier for them, and they feel good about themselves while they're poisoning themselves. Lack of education is the problem. In our case, lack of teachers spreading the word is the problem, because it has gotten way out of hand, just completely way out of hand. And that will end my things to talk about for today, except I didn't beg for coffee. All right, let me throw my link in there. I don't want you guys to be disappointed and think that I don't want coffee anymore. Put it in there. I will. There we go. One shot. I won't pin it to the top. Just did I put up the right? Nope. Put up the wrong link again. Nope. That's the problem with this cut and paste stuff. I hit Control-C and it didn't copy it. So let's try it again. Try it again. But meanwhile, I welcomed everybody again. How about that? There it is. Okay. And thank you in advance. And let me get rid of this this thing at the top there. Very good. Very good. Okay, now let me start to go through the chat real quick and see if any of you listened to a word I just said for the last half an hour, or you were talking about something else. Wouldn't surprise me. Class. The teachers up here being prolific, and the class is throwing spitballs at each other. Okay. Yeah, Sandy, my lunch yesterday got postponed till tomorrow. But thank you for asking, and thank you for remembering. Thomas is here. Hi, Thomas. How you doing? Francine, I'm trying to figure this out. Old Guy Mitch's sweater brightens your face, big time hands, and all the emojis. I don't know what that means. Sweater. This thing here is a t-shirt, but anything that brightens my face, I'm happy. Yeah, Mama Bear's with us. How you doing? Good to see you. Oh, wow, I'm 35 minutes behind already. I'm going to look for questions, and I'm going to look for people I haven't shouted out yet. And Yard Motivated, good morning from Southern California. Welcome, my friend. You're new. I haven't seen you before. You're always welcome here. CB still here. Don't see any new names. Looking for questions. And if I seem a little wound up today, I am. I'm anticipating my adventure, going to the dentist. All in all, the whole thing will probably take me about 3.5, maybe even 4 hours, depending on how long I have to sit in the waiting room. Usually it's not too long. And it's a big undertaking for me. I went about 5 or 6 weeks ago to the dentist, and I got a crown on that tooth of mine that broke while I was in rehab. And it took me over a month of waiting to get it fixed. Fortunately, I could have waited. He would have taken me if it was an emergency, but it broke. But there was nothing exposed. There was no pain, no infection. It wouldn't get worse, so I figured I could wait. But my son drove me to that one. And my son is a very busy guy during the week. And to take a whole afternoon out of his day is the height of inconvenience for him. I'm not going to take an Uber all the way to Orlando. That would cost me an arm and a leg. So I decided this time I think I can drive. And I've done a few drives beforehand, and I know I'm perfectly competent behind the wheel. But still, it's a big undertaking for me, and I don't think it'll be any problem. But I am a little, not say nervous, I'm excited about it. Carnivore is talking about it. Kilt's show this morning. I slept about, I didn't get out it's about 20 minutes to 7. I tried to get as much sleep as I could to make sure I had enough energy to get through this day. And when I got out about 20 to 7, I tuned into Kilt's and hit it just in time to show him holding up my book. What timing that was, I'm telling you, what timing. We look over some of the latest chat here. Talking to each other. Looks like Sandy Blythe is number 1 in the chat. Wow. All right. Questions. Peter, Mitch, is the meetup at 11:30 on July 2nd? Yes. 11:30. That's the time they open. So Peter and anybody else that wants to come. Peter says, I'll definitely be at Mitch's meetup to support the professor. I wouldn't miss it for all the money in the world, which Mitch is one of my life mentors. Thank you, Peter. Thank you for that compliment. The Furrow Grandma. Mitch, I'm in for Sunday. Good. You're in for Sunday. What time? It'll be 8:30 a.m. And I like to have whoever's going to be the guest sign in about 10 minutes beforehand so we can make sure the mic and the video, everything's working fine. Email me if you would. Email me, OldGuyCarnivore@gmail.com. so that and let me know so I can reply to that email with the link when it's appropriate for that stream. But that's great. That's great. It'd be great to have you there. All right. The computer seems to be chatting up a storm as usual. And Tammy's here. Hi, Tammy. How you doing? Good. Good to see you. Good to see you. Ah, Misery loves company. Oh, that's too bad. I had back tooth pulled. Tammy's going to the dentist as well. It's a bunch of questions from Kathy. I never saw my beef before cooking it. I always thought it would drive a greater amount of moisture out of the meat while cooking. The Angus has added salt. Um, I've heard it both ways. Um, a lot of people dry age their beef in the refrigerator by putting it up on a rack so that the air can circulate around it, salting it first, and leaving it in the refrigerator for a day or two like that. It takes some of the moisture out of the meat, but I don't think it takes the fat out of the meat. And you don't want, when you say sous vide steak, it doesn't need to be moist. The best beef you're ever going to eat are the ones that are dry aged. And I don't know why that is. I can imagine why that is, but I don't think salting your beef before you cook it is going to cause you any problems. I don't think it dries it out because it's not the water in the beef that makes it juicy. It's the fat. And I don't believe that, I may be wrong, I don't believe that the salt will cause the fat to go anywhere. And Grace Lily said exactly what I said. Angus is a breeding cow and sirloin is a cut of beef. Yes, apples and oranges. But it makes for good sounding names because people say, Angus, that's the best. That's a name somebody made up. Who knows what the cow is? Aaron says, how come there's more potassium in sodium? Well, the interesting thing is, just like my cholesterol level might be different than yours, my sodium level might be different than yours, all my other markers might be different than yours. It's because we're different animals. We're the same breed, though. We're human. So when they measure things like potassium in beef, how do you know they didn't measure it in a piece of in a beef from a cow who happened to have better grazing habits than the other cows? So you got, like anything else, those things are only so accurate because they change on a minute by minute basis, and unless you have the potassium readings from 10,000 cows and average them together, I don't know how meaningful that is. And I don't remember what the difference is. I wasn't looking, but even if it's a little bit. But, take a shot. Potassium is good for you. There's, in one strip of rice bacon, there's 90-something milligrams of potassium. But we need 4,000 milligrams a day of potassium. So you have to also look at what does that difference mean in relation to getting all the potassium you need in a day. And that's why I take electrolytes, because I don't think I would be getting enough otherwise. Could be wrong, though. Could be wrong. Questions. Got to catch up here. 9 o'clock, 20 minutes behind. Okay. Got 100 people here. 99 to be exact. It seems to be where we settle in these days. The most I ever had on one of these live streams was 450 something, I think, 60. That was right after I get back from my stroke. Everybody wanted to see or hear about the details. But the one downside to doing it every day is you get a little bit of lower attendance because not everybody wants to come and see you every day. But if you're on once a week, more people will come and see that one. So we'll see how it settles out when I'm back to 6 days a week now. Because this is about where I was before I had my stroke, doing it 7 days a week. About 100 a day average, which is not bad. Not bad. I think you settle into a certain audience. Like Ken Berry's always around 3,000. On a good night, he gets up to 4. But you reach a little where you just stop growing any more than that. You get a loyal following, and if you keep doing the same thing, and we get some rotation of people watching this who become regulars, but by and large, most people are set in their ways. Kiltz is growing, but God, the amount of exposure Kiltz is getting with the things he's doing, all the meetups, all the stuff, and having people working for him, and Ollie and Nelson. I'm surprised he doesn't do twice what he's doing now. But there's just so many carnivores out there. There are a lot of people who say they're carnivores and aren't, who are trying carnivore, starting carnivore, and will never succeed. But the core of my Mitch fits, let me put it to you that way, are people who are successful at it, have settled into this way of life, and they're not going anywhere. And they enjoy the company of the few of us in the world that are like-minded. It's one of the main reasons I do this, just to not feel so alone and such an oddball in this. Questions. Still looking for people new. If I missed somebody that I didn't say hi to, I'm sorry. Things scroll by very fast when I'm looking for the questions. I don't want to go overtime today if I can help it, because I got to go to the dentist. Thomas, I hate going to the dentist. It's like pulling teeth. Thomas, maybe you weren't aware of the fact there are currently 10,000 unemployed comedians in the United States of America right now. One thing you don't want to do when you go to a dentist is tell him a dentist joke. You may be certain that he never heard this one. I got news for you. There isn't a dentist joke on the planet that your dentist hasn't heard 1,000 times. How you feeling, Doc? A little down in the mouth today? They told me that dentistry is a very extracting business. And you expect them to laugh. Meanwhile, it was a gas. Yeah, shut you up. Yeah, don't do that. Same thing with a lawyer. Oh, but lawyers do not react well to lawyer jokes. There's a lot more lawyer jokes than there are dentist jokes. What do you call 1,000 dead lawyers at the bottom of a cliff? A good start. There's a million of those things. Don't tell them to your lawyer. What is this? The Excelsior. Wow, listen to that. You need to leave the fridge. The salt draws the water to the surface. True. Welcome, my friend. The Excelsior. Eclexion. You tell me how to pronounce it. Good to see you. Somebody new. Somebody new. And Jem says Kilts is on way too early for my time. Yeah, he comes on at 6 o'clock. It's better than 5 o'clock, but he gets a pretty big audience of early risers. And early rising is a good thing. I'm usually up in plenty of time, but I have things to do. I have work to do. I can't just sit and watch TV all the time. Aaron, we understand. Round trip to Melbourne is about $1,000. Yeah, probably couldn't fly anyway. We don't expect people to come that far to this thing. I would recommend you don't. It's not a big enough deal. If you're going to do that kind of traveling, you'd be better off going to one of these big convention-style keto or carnivore events. It's going to be expensive, and you're going to have to stay in a hotel and all that, but they can be worthwhile. They can be worthwhile. But just to come for lunch, if you can't drive here in an hour or two, I would not recommend it. Except for Kilts, who has his own airplane. In that case, I can't wait to see you. Let's see. Coming down the wire, it is. I mean, everybody, like I said, everybody else ends theirs after an hour. I usually try to keep going until I get everybody's question. I have gotten to the end of the chat, so I think I've gotten all the questions. I hope I didn't rush it. I did say everything I wanted to say this morning, which is good. Which is good, and we'll maybe keep it at an hour this morning. Jem says, Kilts is on 3 a.m. my time. Yeah, you should be sleeping. You should be. You should be. And you're still talking, still 100 people here, so I'll tell you what. I'll kill the last 2 minutes. Say quit while you're ahead. And I'll relax, rest up. I have to leave the house in about an hour from now to get over there for my appointment. So, considering the hour drive and the fact that I never like to be late, so I always account for more traffic because I am going into Orlando. After all, I do account for more traffic and give time for that. So I usually end up getting to my dentist between 15 minutes and a half hour early. Then I sit around. But I know what would happen. The day that I tried to time it exactly, I would be delayed for something. And that would make me very nervous because I just, even though they don't mind holding me up, making me wait, I do not, and I never have been late for a thing. An appointment or anything in my entire life. Never been late. Ali sent me an email. Dr. Kilts wanted me to promote your meetup. Oh, that's nice. Okay, I will certainly take her up on her offer. She's very sweet, by the way. All right, my friends. Little happy music. Little happy music for you. Say goodbye to everybody in the chat. Be back tomorrow morning for the first time on Thursday. And that'll be it. 6 days a week. I call that recovery, don't you? And 8:30 in the morning, I will give you a blow-by-blow of how my dental adventure worked, both the drive and the tooth cleaning, maybe even flash a smile for you. I get my teeth cleaned, not for how they look, more for the health benefit of at least getting the plaque out of there and getting the different stain. And I tend to always get a lot of mineral buildup on my teeth. I must have a lot of minerals in my saliva. So, or maybe it's oxalate dumping. Whatever it is, feels good to have it clean every 4 months. So, everybody saying goodbye. Retired Rick, Aunt B, Rick Charger, Mopar, Lori, Whitesell, Lori's Carnivore Story Smoothie for 420. Take care, Mitch and everyone. Jem, thanks, Mitch and Mitch Fitz. Booby Goats, see you Thursday. Sandy Bly says, by all meetitudes. Mornings are great again. Thank you so much for that. Lady June, bye everyone. And that's it. The music ends, and so has this live stream. It is officially after 9:30. Got the whole hour in. Never shortchange you guys. So with that, have a great day. Have a great day wherever you are. If wherever you are is hot, be careful. You got wild weather, stay inside if you have to. Protect yourself. I want to see everybody back here tomorrow, alive and well and safe and sound. But for the rest of the day, take the rest of the day off and eat meat.